Hello and welcome to Super Geek's Mycelial Network News. That's our Star Trek Discovery reaction show for Season 2, Episode 10, The Red Angel.
Hooray! He got it correct this time!
I know I did, because I'm George. With me today, as usual, is Carlos Pedraza. How are you, Carlos?
I'm great and ready for action.
Awesome.
As always.
And what about you, Joe Diaz? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. If I was a DJ,
Yeah. What would be your DJ name, Joe? I've been very curious.
JD.
for asking, I'd be called DJ Breakfast, and I'd only perform in abandoned Denny's.
Like every Denny's?
All right.
The only problem is
That-
his joke. The only problem is his jokes are the grits.
Oh.
That's way meta, dude.
They also cause the grits.
The only people who would laugh were the people hungover from the night before from going to TGI Fridays, and then they go to Denny's, and then they're like,
Then they can't escape from American cuisine.
Ask me my DJ name, George.
What would your DJ name be, Carlos?
DJ Harumph.
Harumph.
Oh, God.
I'd be DJ Batman. That would be my name.
Really, George?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. I'd be the DJ of the night for Gotham.
What's my name?
I don't care. All right. And Raul, how are you doing?
Better than some people.
Better than sun people?
Sun people?
Huh.
That's
I'm just
that's
full of puns
sunnest
today.
of
I'm
you.
a punner.
That's sunnest of you, George.
Oh, man.
No, it's stellarist of him.
Oh.
Yeah. And then we have Mr. Pantless himself, Sean. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I got a bit of a cold here. I'm drinking tea. Guess what kind of tea I'm drinking? Come on, this should not be.
Oh, great.
I don't know what you were trying to do for an accent there, but
It's not talk like a pirate day.
Well, no. Actually, Raul sounds a whole hell of a lot more French than he does English, which Picard was supposed to be. Remember?
yeah, that's true. That's true. And
You know, it always bugged me that people...
And also,
Oh, you can pretty much never go wrong in something
La
in French.
fleur.
Come on.
all right. Well,
Tour de France.
today's episode, or not today's, this episode we're talking about today, was The Red Angel, and we have about 4 more episodes to go. So let's get into it, because a lot happened in tonight's episode, or that episode. You know what I'm talking about. It starts with Ariam's funeral, which we expected, I think. They released Tyler. Sarah does a nice little song, which was okay, I guess. Burnham is very resentful of Tyler being in Section 31 and has a turbo lift kind of scowly moment until he figures out that the Red Angel has the biosignature of Michael Burnham, which was interesting that they did that early, which is why it couldn't be true, or could it? What did you guys think of that opener? Anyone?
It telegraphs the
everybody
rest
go
of the
first.
Okay,
before
now I have to say
before
something because we're all talking at
share.
once.
No,
We'll start with Sean.
Okay. I did not expect the funeral scene. I expected it to just us just move past this. It was incredibly touching. I think, how do we put this? I'm going to start off by saying that this episode didn't really do much for me. It wasn't a terrible episode. It wasn't a great episode. It was a fine episode. But what this kind of did was the link with the funeral in the middle. It kind of turned these 9 and 10 into like a two-parter, or like a split in half, like movie almost type. I mean, because this was like almost like a standalone part of the story here, and that was very, very heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. I haven't seen a funeral that since I watched Spock get shot out of a torpedo tube in Wrath of Khan, and it was very touching. And what I was thinking about here was, and by the way, I'm not crying, folks. I have a cold. But what I was thinking about here was one of the main things that they made a point to show us, and they repeated later on, was about how they erased all of her memories. I don't think that's the case. I really think that this is a harbinger, again, a foreshadowing back to the Calypso short, where somehow that she becomes the AI for the ship. That's what I think is going on.
Didn't I say that last week? I think I said that last week.
You and I both did. We both said it.
I think everybody agrees with John's original theory,
Right.
that you were the originator of that theory, which is a good one.
Yeah. So I think that's where this is going with that, and they made such a point to tell us, to show us, not just tell us, but show us that they're deleting all of our memories, and that, and then they tell us later on that we delete all of our memories. So they didn't delete all our memories. Somehow they're there. Somehow somebody saved them. The ship, whatever the case may be, they're there. So that's my feelings in that. But that whole scene with the funeral, again, very heartbreaking. It was, and I teared up again in which I didn't really until about midway through the episode. They're doing that a lot to me lately. But again, not to dwell too much upon it, but it was a good scene. The opening scene was great.
Casey, what did you think?
I liked it. I mean, it was, for me, I wasn't as emotionally into it because of the previous week, but I was like going, okay, this is the good opportunity to do a little exposition and move the story forward. I felt a lot of that through the entire episode of like, this is getting stuff to move forward. So I don't know if I was as attached to this episode as others.
All right. And Raul, I know you just recently watched it just before we started this episode, so
That's right.
So you're pretty fresh. What do you think of the opening scene?
I really liked it. I was reminded. It was actually, I think, even better than the Wrath of Khan, funeral for Spock.
Really?
To be honest, I really do. I think it was more touching and more emotional.
Interesting. What did you think, Carlos?
Well, they clearly patterned it on the Wrath of Khan funeral, which is great. I feel like they were able to do more with it because they, frankly, probably spent more on it. But it was lovely. It was a lovely thought. It sort of, for me, was sort of bookending the idea of what Starfleet is about, especially when later they moved to those scenes where everyone's working together to bring this plan together, and it was kind of cool to see kind of everyone at work like that.
By the way, did they shoot her into a planet, or it looked like a planet, didn't it?
It was deep space.
They were orbiting a planet, but they didn't aim it at the planet. It went into space.
Okay.
They aimed it at somebody's house. They aimed it at somebody's house. So it just lands there.
Oh, that would make for a funny follow-up on something.
Tilly's mom's.
Oh, my God.
I'm sure a lot of people have been in Tilly's mom.
Oh, God, don't go there. We've seen Tilly's mom on the hologram, so. Son, what did you think of the opener?
I have like 4 separate notes about this opener, apparently.
Go for it.
And most of these notes are just like top of my head thoughts. It's like exoneration of Tyler, duh, because it was Ariam this whole time.
Right.
The funeral of Ariam was very touching, and by the way, Doug Jones has a beautiful singing voice. If that was his actual voice singing,
I think it was.
To mention that. I
think it was him.
That was reminiscent of. I remember that. I look it up, but it's from season 1 of Battlestar Galactica, and that Irish funeral song that in season 1 of Battlestar Galactica. That was amazing. How did I forget that? Yeah, I agree. Absolutely stellar.
What else you got for notes?
Turbo lift scene was very heavy because there's this back and forth between Tyler and Burnham.
Right, you can tell that there's a resentment going on about him being in Section 31 and what just happened. So
right. So the note I have written is Tyler couldn't know about control, but there's still this accusation in the air that he was part of it.
Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, and that hangs throughout the entire episode until Burnham realizes what the hell she's doing to everybody. The scene with Tilly and in the boardroom talking about the Red Angel and stuff.
And when you're done, I'm going to follow up on that. What you just said. Keep going.
That Burnham's explanation seems like a massive. The writers didn't know what the hell they were trying to write Burnham to say. And because this is what I have written. Burnham has just destroyed the notion that the other signals even exist simply because they haven't revealed themselves, except we've seen the signals already on the other side of the galaxy.
I didn't take that from that scene.
Son, can you
I mean,
explain that
that's-
again?
Yeah,
I'm a little
elaborate on
aside
that.
from-
So,
actually, go back to the beginning because I'm a little
okay,
lost.
so when they're talking about the Red Angel showing up, and the Red Angel shows up, and there is the red burst. When when we first start this whole adventure off, there's not 3 red bursts. There's several across the entire galaxy.
Yeah, there's like what
some
seven?
that we
Seven.
can't even get to, right? Even with the spore drive of discovery, it's there's we wouldn't get to them. Yet this explanation she sets out in this episode is that those bursts, those signals haven't happened yet. That we've had 3 of 7 supposed signals, and the other 4 haven't shown up yet. That's what I got from her explanation.
That's not how I took it.
Yeah,
I took it that there would be future bursts that they would need to take advantage of.
Okay, right. I can understand that. I can understand that logic. But the way she's presenting it is, to me, it feels like she's talking about these 7 signals are the key to the whole mystery.
This was part of the problem I had with this episode. Why it was an okay episode for me. I felt the episode really got mired in technobabble because I am still trying to figure out what they were saying most of the time, and this scene is no different. I just kind of glossed it over and just moved right past it because I didn't really know what the hell she was talking about. And the fact that we've got one guy completely confused me, and we got Son who's got one take on it, Carlos got another take on it, George probably has another take on it. I think this is a bit of an issue with this part of the episode, at least.
I honestly just didn't notice that that what she was saying was anything other than her explaining that at some point she's projecting what she might do as a time traveling Burnham. Because here's what I was about to get to before we go on to the next scene. The one thing I found very interesting about this episode is ultimately we all know, and we'll get to it, what the reveal is. But what I love is everybody who theorized that Michael Burnham is the Red Angel, they start right out of the gate and seeing in the pre-credits basically saying, Michael, you're the Red Angel. And so I said to myself, as soon as she said that, I said, no, she's not. Because it's way too quick, way too easy. They're just hitting us with it as if they expected the fans to figure it out, just like they expected the fans to figure out that, well, I guess they didn't actually, that Tyler was the Klingon. But it was just weird. It's almost like they were like watching the tweets and going, oh, now we got to work this around. Of course, they didn't do that. But it's like they immediately go with, we're going to tell you right away, Michael's the Red Angel. We're not going to build this up to the reveal because we think everybody's smart enough to get it. No, it was a nice play on your expectations. But I thought that was very interesting that very early on, one of the first things Tilly comes in and says, exposition-wise, is there's a biosignature left behind by Arium. It was almost like a file that I thought was junk, and it turns out it's a message about the biosignature of the Red Angel, and it's you, Michael. Boom, 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 and then you go into the credits, the opening theme, and I thought, that's really interesting that they're going there that quick without building up to it. So there must be a real big twist by the end.
Yeah, and I agree. And the thing about it is that this is kind of the difference between last season and this season, where it's like the writers didn't even realize how bad they were telegraphing everything last season. And then they tried to, after it was all figured out, after it was all revealed, which was shit people had figured out way in the beginning, they're like, well, of course he wasn't acting like a Starfleet officer because he never really was one. But and of course Vok was Ash, we met, like the old Pee Wee Herman. I meant to do that, And by the way, my Pee Wee Herman sounds really
oh my god, that was
with
good.
This cold. Holy cow! I'm gonna keep doing that. I meant to do that.
Just remember.
So this season they kept their secrets better.
So the point, this shit season, we actually are going to screw with the audience. We are going to set this up slowly, build it up, and make them think, yep, and then we're gonna smack them in the nose when it comes time, and that's exactly what they did.
However,
I do have one thing that I didn't write down here that I probably should have written down because it seemed like something that was really important and it's still on my mind.
All right, what is it?
Huey Lewis and the News.
I don't think they ever showed them blowing up Control last episode, did they?
No, they didn't.
They didn't.
So
just
that's
referred to it.
That's a convenient thing to just write in there and not show.
I didn't really,
because
sometimes things happen off screen. It's fine.
Wait a minute. Because the whole point of the last episode was that Arium was supposed to be transferring all this stuff to the Control, and now the Control has lost that. What the hell was to stop the Control from turning on all the fucking mines and then guiding them right back to Discovery?
Well, that goes back to the why didn't they use the phasers to help blow up some mines? There's a lot of little plot holes.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure about the phasers and the mines, but
or the transporters and so forth.
But the thing about what happened to Control is, I mean, obviously, Control was giving up the station. So, and also obviously, and I think Pike points this out, we have to expect that Control is dormant, that Control made it out somewhere somehow, and is lying in wait for the right opportunity. So, given that, I think that throwing or destroying the station is exactly what Control would have wanted them to do.
Yeah, and also they talked about how Arium's was purged of anything that might have been a threat. Cerro mentions that in that opening meeting in the Ready Room. By the way, I want to take 1 second to mention, the more I see that Ready Room, the lighting they choose to use reminds me of Generations in Picard's Ready Room with the sun. Almost like every time they're in there, it's like the sun. I don't know if that's a lighting thing.
You watched Generations more than once, George?
Yeah, I had to.
Come on.
It wasn't just Picard's Ready Room in that scene. That was the entire...
you're right. The 10 Forward had that lighting too.
Yeah, it was.
It's because they were next to a huge sun.
Right, but I'm wondering if it's actually a setting in his Ready Room.
Here's the thing: his Ready Room. I noticed the same thing, George, and I also noticed that it's the first time it was ever lit like that. It has to do with what they were next to. That's what that was all about. It usually has a mood lighting setting to it. You're right about that, but not like that.
But I'm just wondering if it's a setting artificially, or if it's actually because they
he just said it's not. It's what they're orbiting or what they're what's next to them in space.
George, it's like that what's his face dude from Mass Effect that's sitting in front of that blue dying star looking thing all the time as he communicates with Shepard.
Yeah. I get it. I'm just saying. Like, it seems coincidental that every time they do a Ready Room scene, it's
not like that every time, George. It's darker in the captain's Ready Room, but it's not like it was in that scene in that episode. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. It's based on their location, what they were their immediate location.
It was natural lighting at that point.
Now, I mean, that said, I think you'll notice throughout all of Discovery, even last season, they tend to favor having lighting like that, strong, more like incandescent lighting coming through the ports, because it's more dramatic. It's why you saw it that way in Generations. It's why you're seeing it this way in Discovery. It's more expensive.
Yeah.
It's less boring than just, let's throw up a green screen and project stars in the background. It's more dramatic. They have the money to do it, so they're doing it.
Yep, it's great. I love that lighting. So
I'm reminded of TNG and how everything looks like you had to stay late in your office in the cubicle. That's what the entire lighting of TNG looks like. It's so dull.
And of course, that is the lighting that the Orville replicates to the same boring effects.
I wasn't even going to be mean about it, but I waited for Carlos to instead.
You knew I would.
As we lose members for talking about this. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
But anyways, that's another joke.
Our two listeners go to one.
No, there's more to it. I'll tell you later, Ralph. Tell you later. Anyway, so that was how it opened, which was interesting. And then, as the next scene, the crew is working out. Michael figuring out, well, if Michael's the Red Angel, how did they get to this point, and Leland and Giorgio show up in their Section 31 convenient super scooter, their Scooby-Mobile, and they offer to help, and Leland reveals that the Klingons apparently have been trying to develop time travel as a weapon for 20 years ago, and they began Project Daedalus, which was what Arium mentioned to Burnham, and that was basically their attempt to create time travel to counter what the Klingons are doing, and that they basically revealed that they created their suit that becomes the Red Angel. So that opened up a lot of worms out of the can. And I mean, son, you have a lot of notes. What are your notes about this part?
I called it.
You called it that Section 31 invented the Red Angel?
That Project Daedalus was the Red Angel.
Well, I knew it had something to do with the Red Angel, but I just wasn't, I didn't connect to the level.
Son really fucking called this. Like, really fucking called
Did she?
this. Yeah, if you got like some kind of cowbell or horn or something that's playing in the background, she gets it. She called it totally, completely called this. Bravo. I mean, no shit. I'm not fucking it around at all. She really called it. I said, what the fuck? And yep, she was right. She called it completely.
Awesome. I just don't remember the detail being exactly like this. I remember her having a good theory about it, about all that. That's cool though. Yeah. So Leland and Giorgio show up, and basically,
I had a question about this whole thing,
go ahead.
and this is what threw me off about this. Big reveal on this. Oh, by the way, the Red Angel's us. Nobody once says, and you didn't fucking tell us before now. What was up with that?
That's sort of the
everybody seems to
nature
act-
of
yeah, I think everybody knew.
clandestine intelligence agencies, isn't
Well,
it?
I get that, but nobody even said that. I mean, nobody on the
I don't
Discovery
think
crew
that they.
said
I think that they just kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, "Oh, another Section 31."
Yeah, I would have too. I would have been like, yeah,
we're
whatever.
just used to it now. Whatever. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
But they did call out that they could tell that they were still holding back. That comes into play later, but they weren't.
No, that's a special scene I want to talk about.
Right, we'll get to that. But I'm just saying that they could. Burnham could tell that they weren't. Even Pike could tell that they even with.
But it's Saru.
Yeah, and Saru too.
That's
and we'll
what
get to
I wanna
that
talk
scene
about.
too. That Saru. All right, but they didn't. That they were only giving them the need to know up to this point. And yeah, so that was interesting. That for me, okay. I know you guys. I know Carl is going to shoot this theory down. I still think that by the time this is all said and done, there will be some sort of connection to the. I know you're going to say no, but I really do.
I'm going to say it before
No.
you say it. No.
Temporal Cold War. Yeah, I do. I think it's going to come up.
No.
No.
Come up. I'm
No.
not saying it's a big, huge
Nope.
part of it.
No.
I'm gonna imagine.
No.
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Did even Joe say no? Joe
said no.
Wow.
Joe said no. Did you burp along with it, Joe?
It kind of sounded like it.
Thank
Joe-
you. That's like the
Perfect.
Okay, so we need a new alert called
We're
George is
super
right,
classy
Carlos
here.
is wrong.
What kind of alert do you want?
This is a new alert we're making up now on the fly called George is right, Carlos is wrong.
So we'll never use this.
Except
Yeah.
we don't.
So it'll
we'll
never
we'll
be
never hear
used.
that alert.
I can.
I mean, one day it'll come true, but
The George is right, Carlos is wrong alert is called the Derp alert.
Derp alert.
Yeah.
Derp
That's,
alert.
oh God, I love the way you say that, Casey.
So you've got
Exactly.
blue alert, yellow alert, red alert,
Black
alert, derp alert.
You
Derp
got
alert.
it.
you heard it here,
No,
folks.
George. Here's why I think you're wrong. I think this series owes almost nothing to Enterprise as a series.
Thank God.
It just wasn't that resonant a series. Maybe in the last season it was.
It's closer
but
connected to this series than any of the others, though, because of the time
In
period.
No,
proximity and
no,
time
it isn't.
only.
Well, that's why they used the Defiant and they referenced the stuff that happened in A Mirror Darkly. That has been referenced before.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
but
stuff in
the
Mirror
Defiant
Darkly is a
really
reference to
comes from the
TOS.
original series.
Right.
TOS.
That's not a, yeah. That's,
Which,
that's,
but their version of it going to the Mirror Universe
That's
was
beside the point, George.
but they've
Right,
done
that-
it, is what I'm saying.
the whole point of that was to make a connection to TOS. It had
That's what.
nothing-
That's all I'm
exactly.
saying. I'm not
Then-
saying they're going to make a huge
Okay,
arc
it's-
out of
it's-
it. I'm
it's
saying there
like
might be a
these are the-
reference to the
It's
Temporal
like
Cold War.
these are the voyages. It had nothing to do with Enterprise. It was episode number 178.
Well, let me clarify my point. I don't think it's going to become anything special. What I'm saying is they might bring up the fact that in the official sealed records, Archer and everybody figured out there was a temporal Cold War, and that's why they've been working on time travel.
But that
That-
didn't have
that
anything to
makes
do with
no
the Temporal
sense.
Cold War. Wait,
None.
If you're going to
In
make a
Mirror
reference like that, you don't just drop it like, oh, it's no big deal.
I didn't
It
say
is a big
drop it.
deal.
But
If you're
wait a
going to
minute.
go there, you need to go there. You don't just mention it and be like, oh, here's an Easter egg, fans. That's not
Here's
the way they
thing.
work.
In
That's
A Mirror
kind of what they
Darkly-
did with the Defiant information, though, when it came to the Mirror
Nope.
Universe.
George, In a Mirror Darkly had nothing to do with the Temporal Cold War.
No, I know
Period.
that. I'm just saying as
But
far
he's
as
using that as an
referencing stuff from
example that
Enterprise.
they
But
were
you're
making a
making
reference to
you're making
Enterprise.
Right.
But the real
you-
reference comes from TOS. Enterprise was just a...
I get that, but I'm just saying that because Discovery takes place.
Well,
the
you've said
next
it
time
already,
period-
George, and it's just there's not enough there. You know, the reference is really a TOS reference, and only
So let's
passingly
talk about
an
Giorgio
Enterprise
being
reference.
absolutely ruthless to Stamets, Culber, and Tilly.
Yeah, wait, we're not on that.
That was an awesome scene.
Hold on. Actually, we can go there now. Fuck it.
Ruthless or sexy? You take your
okay,
pick.
well, I called it that scene in my notes. I did a big circle. And
Yeah.
Stamets works to play. Stamets works to plan a way to trap
tiger.
the Red Angel, and Giorgio mentions that. Well, actually, hold on. What she actually said is, "Don't be so binary. In my universe, he was pansexual, and we had DEF-CON level fun together." That was that quote right there, and then Tilly, what just happened? That whole scene. I want to start with, I guess, Carlos. What do you think of that scene?
Well, I actually liked the way she started off the conversation when she turned to Stamets and she said, "You're much smarter than the Stamets from my universe," and then she said, "But
Ruthless!
way more neurotic," which I thought was hilarious.
You should probably take
suggested-
some medication for
Right.
that.
Was
Ruthless!
yeah.
And
Right, if you consider
clearly
medicine-
She
was
turns
toying
around
with-
and tells Tilly to shut up when Culber shows up in the room, and she's like, "Oh, well, this is awkward." Yeah.
Actually, when
wah,
people
flip.
tell Tilly to shut up, is almost always hilarious. And who knew that Giorgio, this like ruthless, Terran Emperor, can give us so many great comedy moments?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just dark comedy. I mean, it works. Yeah.
It's not a big deal, but I
It's
just
dark
Then she
comedy, and
called-
you're all old
Then
geezers.
she
Well,
called.
what's funny is that
then
we
she
were-
called Stamets' husband Poppy. I love that.
That was
Poppy.
awesome. That was
He's
awesome.
Hey, Poppy.
His response was hilarious. He was so on point.
I found it interesting, and
Sorry,
not,
Poppy.
not that we need to sidetrack on this subject, but I thought it was interesting that this is the first time that Star Trek has used labels like gay and pansexual versus like just showing it on screen, as far and not even bothering to say that there's a difference between any of these things.
Well, here's the thing
Yeah,
about
before
that.
they just called it Riker.
Okay,
That's
Wow.
that's actually
Riker
Tyler at
universe.
this point.
I'm thinking Major Kira, but okay.
That's actually Tyler at this point, because I mean he's banged a Klingon and he's banged Burnham, so I mean that's our
Actually, the
that's our
Klingon
Riker at
banged
this
him.
point.
Get it right.
Here's the thing about that is I was kind of wondering, does it? I'm torn on this because part of me loves it because it's a complete kick in the nuts to that certain segment of the fandom that doesn't like to gaze on their Star Trek, if you know what I mean. So, and I don't mean as in when I say "ta," I mean TEH because they can't spell it when they get mad online.
Yeah, I know.
They
I
type
know it.
really fast. Okay, so part of that I loved it because it was just a complete kick in the nuts to that segment of the fandom. Say we're coming right out and saying it. Okay, they're not just buddies who brush their teeth together. Okay, they're coming right out and saying it, which I love. The other side of it was like I would hope that in the future, in the 23rd century, that people don't even think.
No, I agree. I thought it was interesting that they even bothered. You know what I've noticed? Back when George Takei got a little upset with Simon Pegg for when Simon assumed he would be honored that they made Sulu gay in JJ's Star Trek Beyond. I thought it was interesting because George Takei's position was that I'm gay, but the character, as far as
It's not my Trek. I don't like it.
But
That's what George Takei did.
Yeah,
Again.
well, no, George Takei basically said my understanding of the character is that he was straight. I mean, I'm flattered, but yet I
Yes,
don't agree
and that
with
was
you.
a character in a different universe.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm saying. She said,
You know.
in this universe, you guys are pansexual and we've had fun. And in this universe, clearly you're gay, is what he was basically saying. I thought that was, I don't think they were alluding to that movie, but it was interesting.
What I would like to point out is that she initiated that whole conflict in that engineering bay.
She sure did.
Yeah.
She wanted to help Stamets in some bizarre way, but so she wanted to create a little tension between him and the husband.
Ooh, I never thought
or
about
the
that. I think
former
you're right.
husband.
Oh, yeah.
But but she did that. That whole thing is manufactured by
It wasn't
I
just
never thought about that.
There's the other side of this too with Giorgio. Giorgio never misses a moment to let you know who's in charge in the room.
Yep.
Period.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's what she was doing. And that's why
But God
Tilly
help
said,
you if Tilly's in charge, Sean.
Well,
But God help
well,
you if Tilly's in
She's
charge.
the ultimate dominatrix. Yeah.
Tilly, that's why Tilly said, "What just happened?" Because she realized that they were all standing there and they got their asses kicked by Giorgio in that conversation. It just just sucker punched all of them.
Yep.
So, this conversation, there's a point that nobody else has brought up. That's kind of a missed point in all of Trek.
What's that?
This whole thing about blatantly explaining sexuality has been a thing of the Mirror Universe, time and time again.
Well,
Where
they didn't. Go ahead.
where in especially in Deep Space Nine.
That's the only
Yeah.
time it ever was. Yeah.
Where we have this mirror universe where people who are normally straight in the primary universe are suddenly lesbians in the mirror universe, and now you have a couple who's gay in the primary universe, and suddenly they're pansexual or what the hell other in the mirror universe. It's a counterpoint again of what is in one universe is somehow an opposite in the other universe.
I don't think.
Although I wouldn't call it an opposite.
Right.
I think what I would call it is more of a enlargement of sexual scope. Because pansexual is not the opposite of homosexual. It is an extension of it.
I'm not saying it is. I think that a lot of the complaints that have been specifically levied against Deep Space Nine for doing this stuff is that because it's the mirror universe, well, obviously lesbianism must be something evil, and
I see what you're saying.
I don't necessarily get that argument, and I don't think it's a valid argument, but a lot of people seem to think that was the case.
It's been 20 years since that series ended, and it's the first time I've ever even heard that before. There are people that really have a bug up their ass about this, really?
Yeah, not the people you particularly have issue with, Sean.
I think
has issue with.
These
are people who are far on your guys' side saying this stuff.
Is this on? This is why I left the Trek BBS. So I mean, shit like this, because this is the first time. This sounds like something I would hear. There is the thing back in the day, and that's I never even thought about it like that. I mean,
I think I've heard this argument too, but not. It's been a while.
And I want to say, what I want to say about this whole exchange is we've seen this time and again, but it's been used as this kind of leverage of saying, oh, this is evil, this is unexpected and opposite and different and evil because it's the mirror universe. And here, even though we know Giorgio is this badass Empress lady, genocidal maniac person who maybe somehow has feelings, she's still playing this scene like what the fun that they have is somehow wrong, considering she's levying it against a gay couple.
Well, she's
I
doing
didn't
it for a
interpret
certain
that
purpose, son. And
No, I know, I
back.
understand. But they're the people who have that same problem with Deep Space Nine who are going to go right to that same exact argument over this.
Well, I mean, I guess let them. I mean, if they're gonna
Right.
do what they're gonna do. I mean,
I would just like to announce that my mirror universe self is also a lesbian.
Okay then.
perfect.
All right.
Yeah,
I was
let's
named
move
an
on.
honorary lesbian by the city of Tacoma Park in Maryland.
I'm not surprised.
Honestly,
You wear too much flannel, Carlos.
It was that and the haircut in the 90s, which it was a bad choice, I'll admit.
oh my god. All right, let's move on.
I almost got. I just want to close out with. I almost took what Giorgio was saying again. This goes back to this is an issue of power for Giorgio. I almost took what she was saying as, listen, I used to fuck you both, okay?
Yeah, probably. And here's the thing, actually. I mean, I totally agree with your point that she's clearly, it's a power play for her yet again. But it comes from a motivation that we're seeing more and more from Giorgio on this show, which is that she is developing feelings. Like,
Yes.
she knows what's
Like
going
human
on.
feelings, not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
a scene later we'll talk about that we'll emphasize.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
like I
she-
see this as a contrast with the scene later between Culber and Admiral Cornwall. Except, that's like the good version, and this one is the version where she's basically just trying to.
She's bad, mommy, Carlos.
She's bad, mommy.
Well,
Yeah,
Carlos,
that's
here-
probably
to-
that sums
to-
up what I'm
to
trying to
put
say.
it in the simplest terms, she's going native is what she's doing in this universe. I mean,
Yeah.
her attitude really, we're seeing it evolve and change, and because that's what she does. She adapts to her environment.
Yep.
And that's how she's been able to achieve the success she's achieved. So
Yeah, I mean that scene
the same
later with
person.
Burnham, I think, is total confirmation of that.
Can you imagine her character on Game of Thrones? She would Cersei be dead by now. She'd be on the Iron Throne right now. But she would.
Well, I hope that actually, and when they move into the Section 31 series, that they explore this more. But if you think about it, being the Terran Emperor is huge pressure,
Right? Exactly.
and for her, that
heavy
pressure
is
is
the head.
completely gone, like suddenly and completely gone. So yeah, of course she's going to explore stuff that she couldn't afford to explore before because she always had to watch her back. Now she doesn't.
Yep, everything's a lot lighter for her right now. It's almost like she's kind of looking down on it, like, you guys really think this is pressure, this is serious compared to what I've been through, kind of thing.
Well-
but at the same time, some of the stakes are pretty high. But she levies it with her experience. So she's been through much worse, and she's looking at like, okay, what can I do? The stakes are a little differently. I have to play the game a little bit differently. And she's it's more about political intrigue and moving chess pieces now than it was.
I don't think.
But people are-
Let me be very honest with you all. I think you're all completely wrong in that she's maneuvering. I actually think she's trying to help people with the only
Yeah.
skills
Yeah,
she
no,
has.
that was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah.
Both.
Yes, I agree.
I see it as
agree.
both. Yes.
So she's you can't. It's kind of like Garrett. Garrett's
kinda
always
like Eric.
maneuver-
Garrick
Garrett
is my
always
favorite character in Star Trek.
Mine too, absolutely, without question, hands down. But he's always maneuvering. Always maneuvering.
He's a
It's
It's
like
an
he
in-
was-
right. It's an
He's a
instinct.
different
Yeah, but-
animal, though.
But
He's
but
a
in
different
this
animal.
What were you
But
gonna say?
yeah, but there's a moral code, and he was trying to do
Yeah.
good. And I think George
Yeah.
has at this been the
User
same.
disconnected from your channel.
So we lost some. We lose.
Casey, he'll be back.
So
Joe,
in this-
what were you gonna say? Yeah.
So in this timeline, Giorgio is interacting with people that she knows, but they're talking to her like she was a good person, right? So she's interacting with the same people, but it's completely different. So that's why she's trying to help people, because for the first time in her life, people are looking at her as a leader and not as someone to fear.
Yeah.
So-
Space Hitler?
No,
Yeah.
that's a great point. But
Yep.
I want to
But
say
we're not
that
even-
this makes me look forward to the Section 31 series even more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Well, it's not even that they look to her as someone to fear. They don't look at her as a target either, and she doesn't see them as a threat.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is a relief on both sides, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we'll talk about a scene a little later that shows that kind of emphasizes what Raul was talking about. Also, okay, so after they have that little meeting, trying to figure out how to trap the Red Angel, Non has a little talk with Burnham. Sort of thanks Burnham for doing what she did, and she apologizes for having to make the call about Aram, and Burnham understands, and that was a good moment. And but that scene then switches to one of my favorite moments, where Saru basically goes from talking to Leland to basically mildly threatening him in a way that I thought was epic.
It wasn't
I
mild,
loved it.
in my opinion. He leered over him, and power leaned into him.
It was great. Would you guys think of that scene? I thought like the way that they handled that. Like Leland didn't look afraid, but yet he could tell Saru was turning hostile in a subtle way.
I think it reminds us. It was a scene that reminded us again, because it's been relatively Saru-free for the past couple of episodes. It's another one of those scenes that just reminds us why we love Saru so much. It was really a great scene.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was nothing has been said that I don't agree with. and but I would say that he leaned into him, leered over him, and power leaned then afterwards. So he was basically, and Leland is not a little guy either. And he's seen shit that probably scares the hair off a grown man, and it's literally scared the hair off of him. So but he was a little afraid. I think there for a minute.
Yeah. So I got
Yeah,
like
I would.
two-
I don't know if I saw the fear in his face, but it was interesting the way that Saru did that. It goes to show the evolution of ever since he lost his ganglia, but yet Pike had to tell him in another episode, keep it in check after the Baul episode. Interestingly enough, but Saru's like starting to figure out himself, and he's starting to show he has those aggressive, non-fearless tendencies, but he's starting to learn how to keep them in check, but use it just enough.
Right, you're right. It's like that one episode of Blossom. Remember?
No.
She also had two.
It was
gay
a very
dads.
special episode, wasn't it?
It was a
Was it?
very special episode.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
So I've got two notes about these two scenes.
Oh God, here we go. Memos or notes?
The non thing.
Oh, okay.
Word for word, this is literally what I have written. This skulking bitch apologizing. For what? She was an idiot sandwich last episode.
No, she
skulking around.
I don't agree with you.
Then following the girl because she was going to keep an eye on her, and then leaving the girl fucking alone to do whatever she was going to do to control.
All right, that part I agree.
Tell us
That's
how
right
you
as fuck.
really feel, son.
But I don't think
Like,
she was.
why the
I
hell are you apologizing? The whole last episode, you were all over the fucking place, Non. What the hell?
It was kind of like Dick Cheney shot her in the face. Oh, sorry. Was too soon?
Actually,
Well, I mean, to be fair,
to that
she
to
says-
that point, that's literally my next note. Saru is going more Dick
is your
Cheney.
next note?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Saru is going more Dick Cheney. Because this
Saru.
is literally the we have to go to dark places moment.
I do like your Dick Cheney theory on Saru. I have to admit. But
Epic.
for Non, if we can close the loop on that for just a second, I think the way I saw Non's evolution there was that yes, she was the hard as nails one who actually was the one who pressed the button to eject Ariam unapologetically. And I think that the reason for that scene is that she was moved by what Burnham said at the funeral, and that's why she
Yeah,
felt
she
like
said
she
so.
needed to make
She
that
said
scene.
so,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what she said. So I don't see it as like this, sort of 180 degree turnaround. Sorry, I get my degrees wrong. As much as a realization based on a shared experience.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like the character of Non. They give her just enough to do to make her interesting, but maybe I'm hoping she'll get a little more.
They give her
something.
just enough not to be fucking annoying. There you
Yeah,
go.
Right.
That's all I can ask for.
She's adequate as a security officer goes. And
Did
then-
you see her
They
tweet?
give her. Oh my god. Okay, so this is the thought that went through my head when you guys said that. They give her just enough to bring me my beer and bar nuts, and that's it.
Sure, why not? Bring me my phaser
Hey,
and a beer while you're at it.
brought up-
Let me
you brought up the
quickly say
sandwich,
something.
okay?
Let me quickly say something
I did.
about a security officer who, if you slap their face, they start choking. That's kind. Isn't that a little bit of a danger to the crew?
I think their stick on there a little better than that. Give their sticky thing. She had to. Rip
I
it
don't know.
off.
Spirit gum doesn't go that far, George.
My interpretation of that actually was just that Ariam is physically augmented, so she can. It was more than a slap in the face. It was a pretty hard
Well,
hit.
it wasn't even a slap in the face. She literally ripped the device.
She ripped
off
the device
Don's
off.
Yeah, it wasn't
face.
an accident. She was targeting those things.
Yeah. But hello, what do you think Klingons would do? I mean,
Rip them off.
Yeah, exactly.
Rip them off.
No, they
Rip
wouldn't
them
be-
off.
they're
Rip them off.
They would just swing their
Chug,
bat
chug,
lefts,
chug,
so-
chug.
No, they would
They
just
take
swing
the
their
whole
bat
head.
lefts. They wouldn't care what they hit.
Oh
Anyways.
my god.
They do it in a pretty. Anyways, so Burnham then has another talk with Leland. She finds out that there's more to the story. She pushes him and She finds out he's responsible for her parents were Section 31.
Only after being prompted by Giorgio.
Being prompted by Giorgio, and that too. And but the most important part is that she found out what happened to her parents, which ties into what Giorgio said to Leland at the end of one of the episodes, where she said you didn't tell. She doesn't know what happened with her parent, how you were responsible for her parents dying. And we find out that her parents were Section 31. They were when Burnham was with them as a child. They were actually working on the suit, and the Klingons. It wasn't a random raid. They were there for the time crystal that was used to power the suit because they detected it. And so Leland gets his ass kicked in a scene that I thought was kind of stupid, to be honest with you. I'll tell you why. I don't think Leland would have just sat there and taken it. I don't think that she's a better fighter than him. I thought the way he just sat there. And
It wasn't a fight.
It wasn't
No, of course
he
he
wasn't
took
fighting
it.
back.
It was
He
the
wasn't
sucker
fighting back.
punch.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I think you're missing the point of that whole scene.
No,
Then.
I'm just saying that part.
Okay.
I just bothered me.
Well, then you're missing.
That's
the
the
point,
point, though,
of the whole scene.
George.
Because this is the thing. This is what I love about this about the scene is you can unironically say that it actually Leland telling Burnham that he was responsible for her parents' death actually made him more likable. Seriously, it
Yes,
did.
Yeah.
it did.
Because
It did.
because he
didn't have
clean
to.
with- no, he didn't. He came clean with that and was
He
genuinely.
kind of had to.
He
didn't.
he was put in the spot, but
I did because he knew Giorgio had that over him, and this was
Yeah,
a way
he-
for
yeah,
him.
That's
to
Right.
that's the note. That's the note that I have written.
Right, but he
I
was-
literally have that.
he was genuinely remorseful about the whole thing. And,
I think so.
And,
Oh,
and,
I didn't
and,
buy that
And
at all.
regret. And
I
you
do.
Thought, I do.
I do.
He,
I don't.
I do.
He was
Nope,
a total
not at all.
fan, and he felt he seemed to clearly feel terrible about the loss she suffered. due to
They're
it,
actors
which is-
in Section
which is-
31. I don't buy it.
but they're not there. They're human
But
beings.
why
dude.
why
They're
be
human beings,
otherwise,
George.
George? Unless you prefer your villains with twirling mustaches.
Mustaches.
I mean, he's
Right,
still a human
exactly.
being.
Right, exactly. I mean,
Well, he
they
does
were-
prefer
look,
the mirror universe. George
But
is a
he-
mirror universe guy.
But here's the thing: we know Section 31's their motivations are not the problem. It's their means that are
Yeah.
the problem.
Right.
It's they consider themselves a force for good just as much as Starfleet considers themselves
Absolutely.
a force for good with the same ends. It's just how they go about it. So to think that Leland is not sorry that he caused her parents' death, I just don't understand why anyone would think that. Of course he is. He made a terrible mistake, and it cost the lives of a lot of people. So hey, that's how I feel about it. I mean, like I said,
I just
he
didn't
was
buy
gonna-
it. Okay, let me rephrase it. The acting.
Sometimes when you're, I can. It's kind of tropey, but when you do a big reveal like that, where you spill your guts like that, you want it's common for the guy doing it to want to get his ass kicked. It makes him
Yes.
actually feel
Yes,
better.
that's exactly how I thought.
Under that
Right.
context,
He
I
wanted-
suppose it makes sense. I'll give you that.
Not under that context, George. That's the point.
I just didn't buy, as far as how he acted in the scene, it didn't feel sincere to me that he was telling her that sincerely he was sorry. I'm not saying he wanted them to die. I just didn't feel like, I felt like he was being emotionally, really
But
sincerely
again,
sorry.
what's the point of that? There's no motivation for him to feel
There's
that way.
none.
Well, to have
Right,
something that Giorgio
exactly.
can hold over his head, a game.
Well, but that's not the opposite of feeling guilty. He can experience both.
Yeah, not for
I
nothing,
suppose it makes
being-
sense. I just didn't feel like he was being totally sincere.
People who don't feel guilty about something
Are
have no
sociopaths.
well, yeah,
That's kind of the
but
way they've been portraying him a little bit.
They haven't. They haven't. No, they haven't. They haven't. He's just been kept everything close to the vest. But people who don't have a problem with something they did aren't gonna keep it covered up for years and years and years. There'd be no reason for him to.
Right.
If Georgia brings it up, Georgia would be like, "I know your person is fine. Fucking tell her. I don't care. I did what I did. That's fine."
Exactly. The
That's not-
reason
that's
Georgia
not what-
has leverage over him about this is because she knows he would feel guilty about it if
Exactly.
it came out in the open.
Well, she kicks his ass. So that's the biggest thing. And then after that, of course, she has another run-in with Tyler, and she's even more pissed at him now. And she thinks he knew, but he says he didn't. And then they get into the whole. She's pretty much like, "You're done. I'm not even gonna. I'm done with you. This is even worse than I thought." And then basically that's how that scene ends. And Colbert
But
then.
poor Tyler.
Yeah, he's like, what?
He's so fuck.
He can't catch a
exactly.
break.
He was so fucking shocked. He didn't know what to say, and she takes his 2-second delay in a response. You motherfucker! You knew. He's like,
Look
oh
what's
my God.
happened to Tyler over the last few episodes. He tries to have a cup of coffee. Some crewman comes and tries to kick his ass. He's
Not going
walking
well.
the hallway to his next assignment, and his love interest comes to kick his ass. I mean, he just lives to be his ass kicked.
He
He
needs a
can't,
haircut.
he can't lose for winning, you know.
If he
No,
gets a
no.
haircut, it'll solve
Do
everything.
you guys remember the whole last 2 episodes? He's been confined to quarters for shit he didn't do.
Yeah.
I know. I pointed out at the very beginning.
Tyler
that
is
they released him.
the most badly treated.
Tyler's the new whipping boy.
Yeah, he's
Tyler's-
the whipping boy of the entire
Tyler's
series.
the Miles O'Brien of this series. Holy shit!
Well, Pike did apologize,
without
Joe.
the respect. Without the respect, if you can imagine it.
I mean, Pike did apologize.
That's true.
Sean.
People
that was
respected
something.
Miles O'Brien.
Yeah, exactly.
Sean only likes Miles because he was Irish.
So I will say this because you started to go there, George. The therapy session was
Yeah, that's my
this is
next
what
one.
I have written down. Was heavy in all the right ways. It shows that Colbert still feels for Stamets, and yet at this point he has no clue how to express or feel that love
Well,
or any
not
particular
just-
emotion at this
and
point.
not just that. I thought it was interesting that we'll get into that, but I thought it was interesting that they threw in that that Cornwell used to be a
therapist.
Well, we
a
knew that
therapist.
already. They revealed
Did
that
they
back
reveal
in
that in the
season 1.
past? I
Yeah,
don't remember that.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, they did.
I thought this was new.
What was revealed in this episode is that Cornwall, in about 2 minutes, was a better counter than Troy was in 7 seasons.
Yep. You are
What
She had
totally
more
correct.
emotions- she had
Here's
more
the thing
emotions
that I
than Troy.
loved. Here's the
Good
thing
call.
that I loved about that scene was that the interplay between Cornwell and Culber was so powerful because if you look at how he reacts to everything she says, she does understand what he's gone through, and she's the only one so far who does.
Yes, I
Nobody
agree.
else he's encountered since his return
That's
understands
right. She
what
was
he's
a
going
POW.
to.
I forgot about that.
And she says it almost casually, and it gets his attention. Like, watch that scene again, and you'll see that he's
It's
surprised
like
by
she's
how
from the future.
Because of her and Lorca.
it just
Her and
means she's a
Lorca.
good therapist.
that and
Um,
the fact that she was a POW and went through some shit.
But no, George. Yeah,
Yeah,
this was
that's it.
this was information that was revealed in the first season because Cornwall was the one who was talking to Lorca and
Lorca,
talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah, I just don't
talking
remember them
about
mentioning that she was
how
had
she
psychiatric.
knew
Yeah.
she knew Lorca's mind.
Right, because she was his liver. I just didn't catch the part or remember the part about her having that kind of background. That's all.
yeah, she talked about
All
it.
right. Well, that's cool. I just forgot. That's all. It's been a while since I watched season 1. And Raul, you haven't even watched season 1 yet, so you have a lot to look forward to.
I watched 2 episodes of the first season.
Oh, okay.
It was awful.
Okay.
Oh my God!
You watched the first 2-parter? Are you talking about?
It was like going on a date with Carlos. It's just
Oh God.
not said.
Hey,
Then
Carlos will take
boom
in
chicka
Danny
wow
at least.
wow.
Oh,
Wait, Raul, why would you go on a date with yourself?
Ah.
That was all you, George.
Ah. I've gotten much better at identifying my Hispanics on this show. Come on now.
Yeah, because
Last
there's only
week,
2
yes,
of
you,
us.
I
last
forgot
week you
that
have
joke.
indeed. We'll see how well it keeps going once
Oh
we
my
get you
God.
whipped up into a frenzy.
Yeah.
So the sibling makeup scene.
The sibling makeup scene is not.
Yeah, I want to talk. I want.
Oh yeah, that is next. And Spock. Oh yeah.
My
Go ahead,
favorite scene.
Raul. If
My
it's about-
first and only response to the sibling makeup scene. My God, do you think any black woman would wear a weave that bad? No, no. Stop it, Discovery. Give her a better weave.
Christ.
Carlos is the
God.
champion of black women
God.
for Star Trek Discovery. You heard it here. first.
Where is the Homer?
Except
stepping
you just
backwards
called
into
him
the bush?
Carlos.
Yep.
No, I said
You
Raul.
did.
No, you
You
did
said
not.
No,
Carlos.
you said Carlos.
You did.
Carlos is
second
too.
string quarterback.
Carlos is too. So you guys got my mind all twisted with this.
See,
I told you we were whipping you
got-
up into a
you got
frenzy
my
on
mind all
purpose.
Twisted with
Yeah, it's
this Spanish-speaking Arrivederci people. Exactly.
Oh my God. Fucking hell.
My
Raul?
God.
your nachos are amazing.
Did I really say Carlos?
Yes,
Yes.
you
You did.
did.
I'm gonna edit it and make me say Raul over it.
But
Yeah, it'll be like,
he-
whoa, Raul.
So natural.
he's gonna.
Oh my god, I'm not even drinking tonight. That's the sad part.
How many episodes are you gonna have to go back and do that with? Is the
Jesus
question,
Christ.
though.
Well, that's become the
The people
I-
already know. The people already know, George.
damn
So
me.
I had a train of thought note for the sibling makeup scene.
What's
When are
symbol of
the
mind?
hopeful / haunting bagpipes of Titanic going to start?
Ah,
I honestly expected to start hearing like Titanic theme music in the background of this scene.
Why
so
did James
cynical.
Cameron need another Hollywood?
While we're on
mansion?
that subject, actually, the whole sibling dynamic throughout the episode, those little looks that like people like Pike and Cornwall giving each other whenever they were having little sibling banters, those little exchanges, that was priceless. I loved it. Like everybody was picking up on oh, that's cute. They're fighting. They're bickering like brother and sister. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Well-
the way she said, "Thank you for sharing that with the group." Spock."
Right. Yep. About why would I do that? It does fit her
good.
pattern of blah blah.
Yeah,
blah,
it's
blah.
right in line with her psychological profile.
Pretty much, yeah. I showed you guys a screen capture I got of that scene. But that was the look between Pike and Cornwall right after they said that. I was like, wow,
It was
that's
fun.
just-
I think Anson Mount's little reactions are hilarious
Yep.
throughout the entire show.
Well, I like the way that him and Cornwall are sort of like the mom and dad of the ship right now.
Yeah, Burnham's response to that when she said
Does,
that, it
does
was
that mean
Hold on,
Giorgio's the
hold on,
bad
hold on,
auntie?
hold on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think she is.
Burnham's response to that was the equivalent of Spock saying, "Remember that time you got really explosive diarrhea from that Chinese restaurant?"
Thanks for sharing.
That's what that was like.
Yeah, I
so
actually I
classic.
enjoyed that scene. Enjoyed the makeup scene.
Yeah, I agree. I
You know,
did
when he
too.
said that he wished he could have been there to see what she did to Leland. I thought that
Yep.
was very Spockian.
I knew the word he was going to use was satisfying. I just
Yeah.
Satisfying.
He was. I was like, wait. I was just waiting for it. Dramatic pause. Satisfying. Yeah.
Yeah, whoever wrote, the writers on this episode, I think, did a really good job of, and of course Ethan Peck did as well, of really capturing the vocabulary and cadence of Spock's dialogue.
Yes, I agree. And the other thing about this scene that was interesting was and he points this out at the end of that. And this is like a typical, what I like about their relationship is very typical sibling relationship. Spock was like, I didn't even come here for this. I came here for something completely different. And next thing you know, he's given, he's given brotherly empathy and he's talking with her and they're sorting shit out.
Yep.
So,
And is this, remind me, have they figured out that they're, that what the plan is, that they're going to,
No, that's actually the next thing
that
we're gonna
comes
talk
right
about.
after that.
Next
That's
scene,
right after. So let's move on to that since you cued us, segued us. The plan they come up with, that Michael comes up with, is that her life really needs to be in danger to get the Red Angel to appear, so that they can enact this trap. Which means she really has to be dying, and trust that either they can resuscitate her at the last second, or that the Red Angel will hopefully show up and prevent her actually dying. That's a big gamble. So that becomes a whole drama upon itself, where Michael has to convince Pike. Pike doesn't want to do it because it goes against everything in his instincts and in the books. But Michael's like, this is the only way, because if it isn't really happening, the Red Angel probably won't show up. Because I would stop myself. At this point, they all think she's the Red Angel, and she says, I'm not going to let myself die, or else I couldn't have done all these things. Therefore, by logic, I will save myself. And so she has to convince everybody to give it a shot, but they try to take all the precautions, they come up with a plan. And she's really scared, and she has a really emotional scene with Tyler that, the acting-wise, I thought was amazing. Her showing her vulnerability and being really scared of the fact that she could really die. What'd you guys think of that scene? Anybody?
it was a scene.
Yeah, I mean, it got us to where we needed to go.
Right,
I mean, it repaired stuff
It was
with
a whole
Tyler.
series of moments.
And it was well acted, but I think once you get to a point in a story where one of the characters and everyone knows that the character could die, you're going to have these kinds of scenes, these reparation kinds of scenes. because that's because it's your last chance.
Yeah, I was far less interested in the expository nature of the A story in this than I was into the little tiny subplots, like the Spock and Burnham subplot, the Leland and Burnham subplot, the subplot with Giorgio in that room with all of them, the uncomfortableness of the whole thing. That those moments were far more interesting than was actually driving the story. I just wanted to get like move it along here. Let's find out who the Red Angel is for sure once and for all. And let's get to that because that's the
so
purpose
we're
of this
not going
whole
to talk.
episode.
We're not going to talk about the awkward dance of Tyler and Burnham in the 14-year-old junior high prom dance.
No. But just before we get to the reveal of the Red Angel, there is a moment that we've all been talking
Wait a
about.
minute, why not? Why are we talking about that?
Wait. See, so here's the thing about my notes. I'm right there with you, Sean. All of my notes are written around the A story, not because I found it disinteresting, but because like Carlos said, it's at this point in the story, this whole episode is a going through the motions episode.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's talk.
Yeah,
but let's get to a really strong point. We were talking about Giorgio and whether she, like Raul, wanted to help people. The strongest point in that favor was the next part where, as Michael's getting ready to enact the plan, you see Giorgio come right out, and she's not hiding it anymore. She's really worried about Michael, and there's that strong. Michael even recognized it, and they give each other that look and whatnot. And I thought that was just without words. That was a great little moment just before she went off to that chair. Because
was that the part? Let me just because just trying to piece this together. Was that the part where she said like my favorite Giorgio line of all? And I've had my issue with Giorgio. She said basically it wasn't when she was talking about the Leland story that it wasn't my story to tell.
No, it was a little after that. It was just before Michael's getting ready to go and actually enact the plan. They're
on the planet.
She's on the planet.
Down on the planet.
So we didn't even mention about that interchange between the two of them over that.
We can.
That was
that
was kind of an important thing. I mean,
sure, go for it.
Between the relationship of Burnham and Giorgio there. That she said that wasn't my story to tell, and it was very. I felt, God, I hate saying this because you know how much I want to hate Giorgio, but it was very touching. It's back when we were saying about her, going native and really starting to care. I mean, she always had a soft spot for Burnham. Obviously, we've seen that from the beginning, but it was. She was right about that. That was a very thoughtful thing, to do, to say that because Giorgio could have told her at any time, but
I think her line was, "It wasn't my story to tell, but I could make sure it would be told."
Right, exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Well, the point is that she raised Michael in the Mirror Universe. It wasn't just like she was a mentor, like in the Prime. She raised her as a daughter, literally.
That's true. She was.
Yeah.
So there's a whole different dynamic. She's got the motherly instinct, even though
that's very true, and I keep forgetting about that.
That's easy to forget because they have she met the different. There's a huge difference between the backstory of Michael Burnham. She wasn't raised by Sarah Commander in the Mirror. She was raised by Giorgio. So there's a huge shift of difference between her. She didn't just like her as a mentor for like 7 years. She raised her from childhood, probably about the same age she was when she crashed on Vulcan in the Prime Universe, up until adulthood. So she was her mother. So there's a big difference in the dynamic. So that's her Achilles heel, her soft spot, and she doesn't mind letting that out now and then. And knowing that Michael was about to actually go into danger, that moment, she was really worried, and she was
she would lose Michael a second time.
Right.
Right. Just one point to remember about Giorgio too is remember that Pike still doesn't know who she really is.
Right. She hasn't told him yet. That's a good point. I'm curious as to if that will happen before the season's over with or not.
Well, remember where we left it was he was basically telling Burnham, "You need to tell me," and Burnham's like, I don't know, I can't.
Well, she might do the same thing. Not my story to tell.
Burnham's response was more of an issue of, it's a story we're gonna have to talk another time. It was kind of clear that we'll talk about it, just not right now.
I think she felt like the conversation might disrupt. things.
What's weird is that apparently everyone else knows, and I wasn't aware that everyone else knew.
No.
That, so,
Everyone
I
in
never
Section
got that
31 knows.
so
And but
Pike-
that scene with the Discovery crew knows because they know. I mean,
That's true.
oh no,
were there
actually
when...
they don't.
Oh wait,
But
did they?
the ones who were in the Tilly, Culber, and Stamets, they know who she really is.
But how does she know that they know that she knows that they know?
Wow.
Because the entire crew of Discovery was in the mirror universe.
Yeah, but they didn't actually.
But not everybody left the ship.
Not everybody
though.
knew that she brought
Right.
the Empress back with her.
No, but
Right.
but Tilly knew,
Right.
because remember when they go to Kronos, she kept talking about my Tilly did this and my Tilly did that, or she called her Killy actually. So yeah, there were some who actually saw who she was, and I think those three were among them.
I think the regular bridge crew, most of them didn't.
No,
know
they didn't, because when she showed up for them to do that mission, they thought she was the real Giorgio.
Right, they made a cover story for the rest of the crew, because otherwise they thought it would cause major problems. Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me, because I knew I had in my head that the rest of the crew doesn't know, but I just can't remember why that's the case. Now you've reminded me. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, that is an interesting point to bring back. I'm really curious as to when and how Pike will find out and how he'll react. Hopefully. Well, obviously, they got 4 more episodes, so... But they enact the plan, and the plan is dangerous, and Burnham's starting to die, and, Spock's kind of holding a phaser to Giorgio and everybody else, saying, no, we're not going to...
Spock takes hostages, like
he takes
what
hostages.
he was
Spock
accused
refuses
of doing.
direct order.
Yep. And he's basically saying, nope, gotta let her start to die. This is going to work, people. You need to back off. This is what she wanted. And then
did everything that the fat neckbeards that were afraid he would do is basically what happened.
Yeah.
He just did all this stuff that they would say is that's not Spock, even though
except it is. Remember what he did in Menagerie?
Absolutely.
He will do what he thinks is right, no matter what.
I'd like to bring up that.
Code.
I'd like to bring up that specifically, the whole Menagerie thing. In this entire series, and I know we've got a couple episodes left, in this entire
4
season of Discovery, we've seen Burnham and Spock have this moment of bonding and becoming a thing, but we have not had this moment between Pike and Spock yet, to have that senseless and selfless devotion that we see in the Menagerie that would cause him to go all out. We haven't had that yet.
Not yet.
Because
You're right,
what we had in the Telosian episode was that between him and Burnham.
Yep.
Yeah,
there are definitely still some loose strings. Talos 4 is one of them. The devotion of Spock to Pike is one of them for sure. And you're right. They better tie off those loose
I really
strings.
think they are going
They better
to
give
tie
us
all
a
that.
goddamn series that we're begging for with Pike.
One of my biggest predictions is going to be that I think that they will, by the time they wrap up the season,
Nope.
that they're going to have a connection to.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep.
Go ahead and say it, because some people may not have heard it already.
Okay.
No.
That they're going to allude to his future fate. That the fortune cookie was not just an Easter egg, and then they followed up with the what the Telosians wanted from Burnham, which was information. I think that, and then brought back Vina. I think there's by the end. I'm not saying they're going to definitely show. I'm not sure. They still may show the wheelchair thing. I think it's possible.
Why? How,
Nope.
George? It doesn't make
Nope.
any sense. It happened. It happened during the.
No,
first
I mean
season
as far as
TOS.
her seeing it when someone gets into the suit and time
Nope.
travels, that they might show us.
Nope.
Quick.
There's no purpose for it, George.
No.
Sure, there is.
There is no story
none.
purpose.
No,
you want to
that-
see it because you like
that's-
Easter eggs like
there
that.
is
But
a
there's
story
no
purpose.
purpose
It's a
for
future
it.
glimpse of foreshadowing.
No, they don't need
It's
it.
fucking.
It
They
is
don't
off-
need it. That doesn't mean
It's
they're
It
going
is
to do
off
it. Doctor
brand
Who
from
didn't
the
have to have
story.
the fanfare that they did. Sometimes they just
What?
do it because they want to.
No, they don't. They have
We'll
a
see.
reason for everything.
We'll see.
No, it's not. Look, not only it's especially not going to happen if they want to not close the loop on this character, which I don't think CBS really wants to, considering the audience reaction to him.
But the
Look,
audience
you throw
knows.
that-
Most of the audience knows. So I don't think it's going
doesn't
to be a big deal.
matter.
But
George,
it hasn't
I-
happened for 10 years.
That's
Forrest.
right.
Right,
They
but
can
it doesn't
do
mean they
another
won't show it.
series.
Look,
They
Not
can do
going to
another
show
series
it.
with him.
It makes
All right.
no
Look,
sense to show it.
It doesn't have any connection to anything that's going on at all.
We'll see.
What that just closes the loop, as far as I'm concerned, on the Pike.
Seeing a glimpse of it
on the
doesn't
Pike
mean
mythology.
No, it doesn't.
Sure, it
God,
does.
we really love running this treadmill, don't we?
We'll see what happens.
Oh.
That's all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, look, you get. I just don't. I honestly, it's not gonna. I don't see this.
Sometimes
happening at all.
the shows throw things in there just for fan winks that don't have to be super structure wise.
But that's
But
not.
it's counterintuitive.
Pike's
It's a
fate
problem.
is not an Easter egg. It is a major story point in the entire franchise.
Right, exactly.
All right,
So,
well,
so the Red Angel shows up, and what the
It's
fuck
not
is
like
with that?
Tribbles.
What the fuck is up with Leland getting eyed by the machine?
I'm torn
Clearly,
on that one.
control
I-
is infected the computer.
But here's my question: did that, because it's really ambiguous? Did that little eye poke kill him, and it's going to pretend to be him with the holograms and the simulation, or did it actually find a way to infect a human through the AI being so evolved and go into him? It could be either one. What do you guys think?
I think.
Why do we
I
think
think
it's-
he
why do
is
we
still
think it's
alive.
Control?
Oh, it was Control.
Yeah, it was Control.
Yeah, no,
that's my question. Why do we think it's Control?
Because the AI suddenly started repeating back what he said, mocking him in a way.
Right.
It was
When he
Control.
gives the order, it's after it's Control giving the order in his voice.
It was
Yeah,
like it was
it's Control.
capturing his command.
I think it's Control as well.
It was like it was capturing his command codes at that moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm not sure if it's going to pretend to be him while his body lies dead, use the hologram trick again, or if it somehow infected him.
But see, here's the thing, though. When he gets eyed, like the moment he falls on the floor, his eye turns like milky white, and his face starts to decolor in that area, and then it goes back to normal.
Goes back to normal, exactly. So
Can
he's
we-
not
can we-
dead.
It was
And
also,
yeah, I took a look at that. And freeze framed it.
it
Yeah,
didn't extend
he-
enough to go into the brain, so I think he's alive.
Can we talk about something? Why on those little eye goggle things are there fucking needles to begin with?
Yeah, no
I'm
shit.
just curious.
That was weird.
I mean, that is this like, Borg technology or like
That
T-1000 technology?
Yeah, that's a question I had too, because it made it seem like they were like whatever the thing was literally taking an eye juice sample rather than a DNA scan or something to verify that he.
I
was
would never
Maybe it's
fucking
because
that
it's Section
machine ever.
31 and they're super paranoid, and anyone
Can
who
I-
tries to fake their way past it gets their eye poked out.
You know, yeah, actually,
Can I-
the
It's
retina
always
scan
funny
thing.
until someone pokes an eye.
Raul, I'm going to let you
It's-
talk for just give me one thing. I want to say something real quick. Carlos, do you remember that Travelers episode where the AI found a way to infect a human brain with the host?
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
thinking it's kind of like it is super advanced at this point.
I think it is something like that, yes.
Yeah. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Raul?
I really don't like this storyline of Control. It's basically the original Westworld gone into space. Now I know that the Westworld that everybody's recognized is the one that's on currently, but the original one was written by the same guy who wrote Jurassic Park, and the same guy who wrote lots of books.
Wasn't it
what's his name?
Westmore or something?
Michael
No,
Crichton?
Michael Crichton.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
okay.
And so Michael Crichton wrote Westworld, and basically they lifted the idea of Control from Westworld.
Well, any AI story is going to seem similar to one another.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
that's a
Star
comic
Trek practically invented the rogue AI trope, so I don't think
Yeah,
you
the
can...
The
M5
M5.
computer. Yep, I think M5, it's interesting that you brought that up, because M5 later, it's, between this and then later, and Pike mentioned something about a precedent about AIs, but it seemed like you would think, especially after M5, they'd be even more strict on that.
Well,
But-
M5 hasn't happened yet.
Right, that's what I mean. But Pike gave a speech. I think it was the last episode, the Project Daedalus episode, where something about they had certain guidelines about they were mad that Section 31 was giving AIs this much power that they had certain rules already about that. I don't know. I shouldn't recall that. I could be wrong. I just remember something being mentioned.
Well, he had a conversation with Cornwall in which they were talking about...
the use of AIs.
Mines.
Yeah,
Mines.
she was saying, well, apart from the mines, they were talking about Control, when she was saying that, the purpose of Control is it to give advice, and then for human admirals to, or people, not just humans, but for living admirals to actually make the decisions, and that handing over all of the decision making to control was a problem.
So let's get to the reveal. It turns out it's Burnham's mom, which at first I was kind of like, but the more I thought about it, it gave them a reason to give us the fake lead-in about everybody thinking they were right about Michael being the Red Angel, with a logical twist that the biosignature would be the same, and then you...
Actually, it wouldn't be the same.
No, it wouldn't.
Now I'm not going to call that a hole, but I am going to...
Here, I have exactly the explanation for this,
right,
and I think a lot of people have actually missed this.
I know exactly where you're going with this, and I'm going to
follow you through.
Go on.
Okay, so the biosignature thing wasn't so much of a red herring that it was Burnham, as it is a thing to say that this is the suit's locator beacon for all of this shit. Wherever Burnham is in trouble, that signature is used to find her.
That could be a good explanation. I like it.
That was a lot less disgusting explanation I thought you were going to come
Oh,
up
God.
with. Outstanding.
Do we even
now
want
we
to
have
know
to hear it, Sean.
Well, look,
Yeah, okay.
We've had a lot of talk about Game of Thrones and
God,
Cersei and Jamie.
But I do have a few bits more. The scene with Colbert and Stamets and Giorgio down on the planet in the little thing right as they're getting set up, just before they start killing her. There in all of this, it makes the case more, to me personally, for Colbert actually leaving Discovery for Section 31 in this. Because at this point, we have Stamets turn around in the conversation that he's the one who wants to be left alone when it's Colbert that wants to talk to him, instead of it being Stamets that wants everything to go back to normal and talk to Colbert, and Colbert wants to be left the hell alone.
By the way,
well, they have a year to work this out, so maybe
it's possible.
Also, that fucking Han Solo scene.
Huh?
Where she's communicating with Tyler on the open comm channel, and Tyler goes, "Burnham," and she goes, "I know."
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, okay.
You're right.
I never thought about it that way. They might have been thinking that when they did it.
By the way, did anyone notice the way Culber was dressed? He was
dressed pretty slick, actually.
I was sure there was a club on Discovery.
I know.
He looked
like an R&B singer from the 90s, Sean.
He did look like he was always waiting to go to the club.
He had a very styling, monochromatic look to him.
He looked like I'll Be Sure.
He looked very... He looked like he smelled really good too.
I'm never putting on a uniform again. This is my new
Maybe I would be his husband in an alternate universe. I don't know.
Sean, it sounds like you're willing to come over to our side of the sandbox.
Let me put it away. I can appreciate.
You guys
okay?
have better.
Let's put
you guys
it that
have better
way.
dental, Carlos.
Yeah.
So
Mike, you see straight people teeth?
Here's the thing. I would not complain if that's what Dr. McCoy was wearing when they pulled him back into Starfleet.
That's exactly.
Actually, it is what he was wearing.
Kind of. Yeah. No, he had the big lapels though, the '70s lapels.
Yeah, but he had but it was a white getup for McCoy though.
He had the necklace and the, yeah. That was interesting. So yeah, Michael's mom pops out of the suit, and we see, things are going to get interesting.
Ding, ding, ding. Here's another I was kind of right moment.
Yeah, so I think that next week's episode is going to be very informative, because I thought it was interesting that they revealed the Red Angel 4 episodes before it's over with. Well, at the time, 5 episodes.
Well, and this tracks with what they did arc-wise in Season 1, where they gave you sort of a false ending early, and then something bigger happens.
Oh, like with the mirror
for the last few episodes.
This is where all the probes start coming out of time-space vortexes to destroy the rest of the galaxy.
I think it's safe to say that every time we think we have enough information to make a bunch of theories, we never have quite enough, because nobody could have guessed it was her mom unless they were literally had information, or they were just pulling it out of their ass. There wasn't enough information.
Does she say mom or mother?
Mom.
She did say mom. I did kind of pull this out of my ass.
How? What did you say?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, I did kind of pull this out because I joked with you guys the last episode or an episode before. I said, wouldn't it be amazing if it was Amanda,
Well, yeah,
which is
but
a mother
Yeah.
figure, figure.
I'm not going to give you that
Yeah, I'm
one.
not gonna give you that one.
I'm
so.
not going to give
Called
you that
Amanda
one.
mother.
Of course.
There was no. That
She
was
said
totally
mom.
random. So it wasn't like based on any kind of a
Of course.
conclusion based on evidence.
But that's the whole point. It's the subversion. You expect it to be one of the big, huge main characters.
Well, here's the thing. They
and
gave
it's this
you.
other character entirely.
They did
that
give
is
you-
connected.
But they
That's
did
where-
give you. They did give you the information needed to come to the conclusion that was her
Only
mom.
in that episode.
Only
Only
in
in
this
that
episode,
same episode
exactly.
where
That's
the
what I mean.
reveal
Only in the
comes.
early part of the episode, you find out they were working on the suit.
She was
So then
also
I'm thinking
an
in my head,
engineer.
okay, now I look back and I go, so either the Klingons captured her instead of killed her, or she jumped into the suit before the Klingons could get to her while they were killing the husband. So then one of the other things they have to answer is, how did Michael not know her mom wasn't dead? Like if she never saw the body, I don't know.
Because she was hidden in the closet,
kid.
remember?
Oh yeah, she ran off to a shuttle or something. I think you're right.
Got her humanity back in this episode.
Yeah, and if
She said
you
mom.
remember, the woman
Yeah.
screamed while she was in the closet, but never screamed in like a death throw. It was more because her husband was killed.
Right, she ran, and then Burnham ran
Yeah.
to a ship or shuttle and escaped
Yeah.
and crashed on Vulcan. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, so that makes sense. So we never, so either her mom jumped
They
in the suit,
did it correctly.
which is what
They
I'm
did it
thinking.
extremely correctly.
either she was captured by the Klingons so they can make her reveal how the suit works, or because they had to keep someone alive, or she jumped into the suit and said, "Oh, we haven't tested it yet, but screw it, here we go." And that's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking she escaped.
She escaped.
She,
Right.
she Marty McFly'd it is what she did.
Yep, they didn't
Yep.
test it yet, but
Actually-
she's like, "Now's the best time." Boom.
Actually,
So,
what I was
there's-
thinking was
Damn
the
Beckett.
last son of Krypton. You know,
Yeah,
that
Kyle-
works too.
Kyle.
So
That would
there's
be a-
still one big question out of all of this that I hope gets answered next episode.
The answer is 42.
No, it wouldn't be.
In Trek, it would be 47.
Oh, What does it
Why
Good reference,
Spock?
Shirley, by the way. Proud of you.
Why Spock?
This is Burnham.
Because it's Burnham.
yeah, but connection to Burnham.
she needed to be mind melded.
or something.
Burnham can't mind meld.
I don't know. We'll
Why
find
not
out.
some random other Vulcan?
Well,
Because
she did go to
Spock
Vulcan.
is her brother and had a motivation to save her life when
Save
she was a
Burnham, yeah.
child.
That's true because she showed up on Vulcan, stopped Burnham from getting killed, so she was observing her. She knew Spock was her brother. She saw this shit. So there's we'll find out, but I think it's pretty safe to say she observed Spock being important to her.
Again, this is why I say this is a question that needs to be answered next episode.
I
pretty
think it will be.
Yeah, I think the
Because
That's a good
at
issue.
this point, it is all everybody going. Well, this is what I think it is, and there is no definite answer.
no, that's
You guys-
that's my
it's
whole thing
great.
about the theories is that
You know
they
what?
haven't given enough information until for people to really theorize. But people get pretty close when it comes to thinking about Michael being the angel, though.
No, that's actually it turns out to be completely wrong though. That's the thing about
It's
it.
completely
That's-
wrong.
It was a good setup though. They
Yeah.
did a good job, not punches in the mouth with that. But here's the thing. I was as far as the whole time travel thing is concerned, I mean, probably the best episode of Voyager is the two-parter Year of Hell, okay? And with the Krenim. And basically when they changed time when they were flying a little time ship, they had like detailed information about the entire timeline, whatever timeline they created. So I wonder. I'm just positing this, trying to give an idea of how does Red Angel Mama know so much. Just the only thing I can think of is that her super suit there, Red Angel suit, has all the information that she needs, that she's
So
looking
she
for.
obviously popped
timeline
around.
wise.
She had to have popped around and upgraded the suit throughout time. Obviously, in her, who knows? There's no way of
But
saying
she's
how
got
long.
to know where to do it.
She
though,
took
that's thing.
she took the steam engine Back to the Future.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that we're going to find out, but I mean, I think it's safe to say that she hopped around time, got technology, and upgraded it. I think it's
Went to Lollapalooza '94, shit like that.
Well, we know she went back
All the good years.
to 21st century
Oh, yeah,
Earth
Raoul.
because she transported all of the Terralisian people.
well in the
Right,
promo, in the
exactly.
promo for next episode. There's a thing where they have a theory that all through time that there's been all of our some of our advances were because of time travelers. There's going to be a mention of
Right.
people popping around. So yeah, there's going to be. I think she's going to explain a lot next episode. Next episode, I can't remember the name of the episode, but it gives you the impression something infinity.
It is perpetual infinity.
Yeah, so you get the impression that she's jumped around and seen a lot of alternate timelines.
My guess is that she's seen many
Thanos?
timelines,
Right.
and figured out what the crucial points were that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
Oh, she's Doctor Strange. Oh, never mind.
Or
Kind of.
or Doctor Who,
Or Doctor Who.
I know you're going to say no, but I'm not. I'm just
Gary
saying she
said
might
it.
have also gotten involved in the temporal Cold War.
No.
No, George, stop it.
I knew you were going to say
Oh
that.
my-
No, actually, she's the cause of the temporal cold war.
Oh,
'cause
God.
She keeps fucking with the timeline.
She's the cause.
Come on, Romulan future guy, where are you? No, I'm just kidding.
She's the cause of the entire series of Enterprise. That's what she's the cause of.
No, but
Yes,
do you know, I
Man,
do want to say,
that's a heinous crime.
I did get the impression though from this episode that they do not have the Department of Temporal Investigations yet.
Oh my god.
No,
she's
not
the
yet.
she's the one who strands Paul's ancestors in Carbon Creek.
I'm wondering if DTI is a branch off of Section 31's study of Project Daedalus and all this other stuff.
Actually,
Who knows? But we
Actually-
know it probably wasn't established until after Kirk.
Right,
he
because
was
the only
one
ones
who
that seem concerned
messed
about
around with it.
time travel right now is Section 31. So I'm thinking.
I believe that it's actually a division of the FBI from back in the X-Files days. That's my
Oh,
personal
all
feeling.
right.
By the way,
You
you
might
know
be
the
right.
joke. You do know the joke about that the in joke in that episode with Temporal Investigations, Trials and Tribulations, right?
No.
Do you know what the two agents' names are?
Oh,
I don't
right.
remember.
Luxley and Dulmer, which
And
is
Dulmer.
anagrams of Mulder and Scully.
Oh, interesting. I didn't
Yeah.
know. that. Trivia, I did not know. That's cool.
Yeah, but here's the question I've always had about the Office of Temporal Investigation. Is it now, or is it some other now?
That's kind of what
Dun, dun,
Cisco
dun.
has too.
All right, let's
It's
give it.
it's in every now, I guess.
Casey couldn't return after computer problems, but he wanted me to let everybody know he gives the episode a 7.5. What do you think, Carlos?
I would agree with that. 7.5 is about right.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with that too. What about you, Joe?
7.
7? All right. What about you, Raul?
6.5.
John?
Ouch, Baul.
The bowl
I'm
strikes again.
I'm firmly in the camp of 7.
All right. And Son?
Oh, I can't give an answer. I haven't officially been introduced on the episode yet.
There you were. I asked how you were
No.
doing, Son. Yes, yes, you were. I remember. I asked how you were doing, didn't I?
No,
No,
you
you
asked
didn't.
you asked Son how
You
she was
went
doing,
through
but
the list and
you
stopped
called her
at Sean.
Carlos.
I could swear I asked you.
I thought he was going to forget me too. That's the thing.
You asked Sean, and then we started the episode.
Oh, you're
there
right. I
was
did
this
because usually you
whole
go.
thing about-
Because usually you go, hanging in there or something like that.
Because there was this whole thing about like something or other between Joe and Casey and something.
Son, how you doing? What do you rate this episode?
See, that's not fair. You can't mush the two together.
Better late than
Sure,
never.
sure he can. He's the host.
Son, how you doing?
I'm gonna actually have to rate this episode a 6.5, like Raul.
Even with all those notes?
Yeah.
I think especially
That's
because of
why.
those.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. It harmed her. Don't take notes next time.
Yeah,
It's not.
I've
it's-
actually I upgraded a little bit because, and actually it's weird. The reason I upgraded, I kind of upgraded because some of the things Sun said. I was actually at 6.5, but some of the things that Sun pointed out, I did notice before, so it made me like it just a little bit better, honestly.
All right, you guys. Well, that's gonna do it for another episode of our Star Trek Discovery
You
reaction
didn't
show.
ask Joe.
Yes, I did.
Joe was asked.
Joe was asked. I went right down
Who's
the
he?
line.
What was
See,
Joe?
this
What
is-
was your rating? 7, right? It was 7.
Yeah,
Yes.
7.
Okay. It
Yeah.
came back to me. Just interestingly, I was looking at the IMDb scores for this episode,
Yeah.
and it's at 7.6.
Oh, so we were all pretty close to the average.
And last week was 8.5.
Higher than I think most of us gave it.
I thought we gave it. I thought I gave it an 8.5.
Maybe I did give it an 8. I can't remember now. I might have
Go
given
back
it
and
an 8.
listen to the previous episode.
No kidding.
That's right. We have it on
Excuse
file.
everyone. Go back and check. All right.
We record these things, right, Jordan?
We do.
Makes you
And I
aware.
listened back to it.
Everybody
I saw
gave it a
that.
6.5, but me last week.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So you can find us on TR Super Geeks on YouTube, and you can find us on Subspace Radios on Mondays, 7 Pacific Time, 10 Eastern Time. That's subspace-radio.net. And we'll be on other things too. You can also find us on the Facebook on the Real Super Geeks. That's the name of our special group. Just look it up, the Real Super Geeks. You'll find us.
It's very special.
Very special.
We're incredibly special.
We're totes special.
We're very totes
Totes
special.
my goats.
Totes my goats.
Wicked pudding.
So
Totes-
fierce.
Totes
So
with
cool.
Deaf special.
All right. Well, hopefully next time we will have a better episode than
Nap time.
even better episode. All right, you guys. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.